Hello there, Drew Hanish of Whiskey Lore. It's time for another whiskey tasting. And those of you that know me know that I have done a book on experiencing Kentucky bourbon with all the distilleries on the Bourbon Trail. I don't know if you know it or not, there is a Tennessee whiskey trail, and Tennessee has quite a few distilleries. In fact, this is an older map, so this has probably changed some. I know there's a distillery on here that doesn't exist anymore, and there's some other ones that have come on board since then, and more on the way. And the distillery that I'm going to be talking about today is pretty much, let's see, 36, yeah, pretty much the last one on the way out of the state, headed into North Carolina, and that beautiful drive on I-40 through the mountains to Asheville, where I grew up. And been on that road a lot. Before I was into whiskey, I probably didn't notice that there was a little whiskey stand there when you go by. It actually says Tennessee Moonshine on it and on the awning. So actually when I went, I almost passed it by because I thought, well, I'm not really a big fan of flavored moonshine and whatever. But I thought, well, okay, I'll stop. And I am glad I did, because it's one of the most unique distilleries I have ever been to. And when I say unique, unique in their process of making whiskey, because they stray from the rules in two ways. In two ways that I can't name, maybe on one hand, maybe not even on a hand, how many distilleries do this. So when they distill whiskey, if you go to Ireland, they distill it 3 times. If you go just about anywhere else, they distill it twice. As Daryl Miller, the distiller and owner, was showing me his process, I was taken by the fact that he had built his own still, and as he was describing the process, he's talking about running it through and then taking it over to be bottled. And I'm like, wait a second, you mean you run it through, then you run it through again, because that would be double distillation? And he said, nope. He said, if my grandpappy said you had to run it more than one time, you're doing something wrong. So, no thumper, nope, not happening. They are just single pass distillation. Now, what confused me about that is that when you go to most distilleries and they talk you through the process, they're going to tell you that after the first run, you're usually going to end up with a whiskey, or not with a whiskey, but with a spirit that is 60 proof or lower, so it's not really whiskey. And so you have to run the spirit longer to be able to get a proof high enough to be able to run it one time and have it be legitimate proof to be able to be a whiskey. So this is 89 proof, and that's what threw me off. I'm like, well, how are you getting 89 proof with one pass distillation? Well, that's just one part of it. The other part of it is that they actually don't put their whiskey in a barrel. I don't know how they get away with that and get whiskey put on the label. You're at least supposed to have it touch a barrel for it to be called whiskey. But what they do is they actually take it, put it into the bottle, and then they have sticks, oak sticks, that they put into the bottle to help it age. And so I've seen distilleries that have used wood to age their whiskey. You know, Maker's Mark, they have wood slats in their barrels that they do. Or I've seen at Gobbler Springs, another Tennessee distillery, where he's putting sticks down into these plastic tubs that are filled with whiskey, and the aging's happening in that tub. But I've never seen it where a distillery actually has put oak sticks in to do the aging. And apparently on their latest whiskeys, what they do is they give you 1, 2, or 3 sticks, and then as those sticks go, it tends to age, and then it kind of wears out. In other words, I did an experiment with a bottle of Old Charter threw in an oak stick, put it in an Eagle Rare bottle to fool everybody, and it added that oaky character, but then it got to a point, and it's been in there for months, and it hasn't really changed. It's negligible if it's changed anything after that point. So if you want a light whiskey, a medium whiskey, or a dark whiskey, he's going to give you 1 stick, 2 sticks, or 3 sticks. And so, mind blown. So the question is, what does this taste like? And I've been wanting to do a review on this for a long time, because I've let friends taste this, and they're like, really? Wow, that place that I drive by between Asheville and Knoxville, you're talking about that place? Yeah, I'm talking about that place. Okay, well that's pretty good whiskey. So on the nose, this whiskey shows it has a little funk to it. It's not an off-putting funk, and it's kind of weaved in there with the alcohol smell that you get. So there is an alcohol smell there, and it is married with a nuttiness, like peanuts, that comes on. And there's probably a little caramel in there too, but the nuttiness is so powerful on the nose. You would think this is a pretty long-aged whiskey, and I don't think they keep those sticks in there for very long, but look how dark that whiskey got. So, I mean, this is obviously a 3-stick whiskey, or if they're making it darker than that, then you're probably drinking motor oil. But yeah, the oak finish is pretty strong. There's a little vanilla coming in there too. I got like a little frosting on the coffee cake there. Very nice. And that wood again comes through. Cheers. You know what this reminds me of? A Payday bar. A little caramel in there. Nuttiness is still very strong. Sometimes those oak sticks will give you kind of a saccharine kind of a flavor, but I'm not getting that. There is a spice to it. It's almost more of a cinnamon red hot without being an aggressive cinnamon red hot. This is cask strength. So we're saying 89 proof cask strength, because you can't really water it down too much. And he's distilling it to a point where, okay, a little grain note there at the end. It's funny how things just show up all of a sudden. But he says if you come by and you buy a bottle, it could be anywhere from 95 proof up to 110 proof, because now it sounds like he's distilling even longer than he was distilling when he was making this. And then, you know, you place the sticks in there, but it's basically 1 pass distillation, so there's really no need to water it down. What I really like about this whiskey, sometimes the mouthfeel sells you on the quality of a whiskey. You just, when you put it on your palate and it has a really nice texture to it, that sometimes will help, you know, push it over the edge and make you say, yes, this is a quality whiskey. I definitely get that. Yes, the alcohol note is there at the beginning. Yes, it's actually in the tasting as well, but you end up really not caring, because everything else that's going on with this whiskey is really nice. And I love that it doesn't end with that saccharine kind of a flavor. It goes to a nice little hint of peanuts still on my palate, but that's really the main thing that you're left with. But it is an impressive whiskey, and, you know, funny to think that, you know, these distillers pride themselves. I'm going to Ireland and thinking they're all going to be telling me about how triple distillation benefits things, and I'm like, well, I mean, single distillation has its own benefits too. So I hope you guys enjoyed this, learned a little bit about whiskey along the way. If you're getting value out of these videos, please click the like button. It helps other people find the videos. And subscribe if you want more. I will keep giving you the details, and I'm going to keep tasting these things. And, you know, it's just a way to build our knowledge of whiskey. So until next time, cheers and slanjava. That is a good whiskey. Ooh, a little baking spice in there too. Oh, and then the wood just like a 2x4 just came in. Interesting.